Hello again. We've looked at an Eagle before. We looked at the Eagle Rad 20, which was a tabletop radio about a year or so ago, I think, maybe more. So why not look at another Eagle? You can never have too many Eagles, can you?
Quintilius Varus, where are my eagles?
Well, I'm hoping this one isn't going to take too much effort, to be honest.
And he just sits on his arse all day.
Now, this is a mid-70s set. I think Radio Museum said 78, and I have no reason to doubt that. There aren't really any clues for this because there aren't any station markings on it, and as I said before, that's not necessarily a bad thing in itself. It's a 4-band radio: long wave, medium wave, short wave, and FM VHF. You'll notice it's also got this log scale down the middle, which is not uncommon for these radios. You know, the idea was that you could work out where your favourite stations were and keep a note of that. However, what you will notice with this white log scale is it's actually got no numbers on it, which makes it worse than useless. It just takes up space. The only thing I do notice about it is you can see there's one line here on the scale, on the unlabelled scale, that is labelling itself by being slightly thicker than the others, but I think that's a mechanical data mark for the tuning pointer, because if I move it right to the end as far as it'll go, it sits on top of that thick line. So I think that's all that's for. Why they didn't number the rest of the scale, having bothered to put markings in it, I have no idea. It goes up to 108 megahertz, which means it's eminently usable today, unlike some of the radios from the 1970s. And it's got some slidey volume and tone controls here, which feel maybe a little bit stiff, but other than that, quite solid and smooth. Looking at the top, it's got some nice chunky push buttons for the band selection, and also on and off switch, and also this tape recorder symbol here, so you can plug a tape recorder in the back. Let's go around the back. DIN socket here, so assuming that you can either have a record output to your tape recorder from that, or play your tape recorder back through the loudspeaker in this set, and a little earphone socket, which I guess is mono, and therefore would need an adapter to be used nowadays with modern stereo headphones. As you can see from the front, it's a mains battery radio, so it's got a figure of 8 2-pin mains socket here. Where do you put the battery in? Because this is all one piece here. In fact, this whole thing slides off. So let's do that. It doesn't need much effort to get it off either. So it just goes on the back there, and let's have a look at the set with the back removed. Let's just get in a little bit closer if we can. The first thing you'll notice is the battery compartment. Now there's a tube here with there's a tube here for the C cells that it uses, and then there's just one in each here. But obviously this bit, the corrosion has completely taken over to the extent that it's rotted completely through here, and I don't think there's going to be any conduction there on that positive side of that C cell, and the spring which was there has completely rotted away, so we can't really power that from batteries at the moment. I think I can fix that, because you can get the springs, and if I can get another piece of metal in here and get that piece of metal out, then I think I could sort that out. The other way to do it, of course, would be to just clean that one up a bit, and perhaps replace this with some with 4 AA's, which might fit in there with an adapter, and just have one C cell, and that would be a height of skankiness even for this channel, really.
Is an act of extreme dirtiness. Dirty.
Perhaps we won't do that. Perhaps we'll do it properly, but I'm not going to be able to do that today because I don't have a spring contact to put in, but we may be able to have a look and see how we can get that out. There's a fuse here, and I'm rather hoping that, given that you can take the back off quite easily, I'm rather hoping that is in the secondary side of this transformer and not the main side. I think that is the case, because you can probably just see thick blue and white wires going into this side of the transformer. They will be the main side, and this is a thinner wire, which it does go off to that main socket, but I think it goes to this switch here, which is operated by putting the plug in, which then effectively disconnects the battery. So I'm pretty certain that is in the secondary side. I have no drawings of any sort, no service information, no circuit diagram for this, and I'm not entirely sure how to get the whole thing apart, because I feel like I might be able to get away, maybe get that out without taking it apart. However, although we can't put batteries in it, we can sort of see it working with the mains. Tell you something else I find a little odd about this. If you look at this cutout for the speaker, it's not symmetrical within the set. So why is it offset? Both, like it's some of it's, the top end isn't visible behind here. It's offset to this side. And that just seems to me an example of slightly sloppy design. I mean, I'd like to see the cutout, if I have to see the cutout at all, I'd like to see it in the centre of this grille. I suppose other considerations, and they probably bought the bits in from Japan and did the case themselves, perhaps. It reminds me of the story of the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway, which is a tourist attraction in the north of England that you should definitely visit if you get a chance. And when they were building probably the smallest station on the line, I think it was Damems, a local wandered up and said, "Why are you building this station so far away from the village?" And the reply was, "Well, we thought we'd just build it near the railway." So it may have been that this was a needs must thing, but it does look a little bit off. I'm being a bit OCD here, really. But anyway, let's get it plugged in.
Archie Collins, Donny O'Brien Brady holding
Telescopic aerial is a bit stiff, so perhaps we'll give that a bit of lubrication somehow.
Still in attack. Let's hear a little bit then from Darren Ferguson.
It certainly works and has quite decent sound on the FM band.
However, Darren says they can't use those.
Let's try it on the AM bands. So long wave, I might have to move. Whoa, we get quite a lot of interference with long wave. Quite weak there on Radio 4 long wave. Whether that's because Radio 4 itself is on reduced power, we're just not in a very good area for it. I'm not sure. Let's try medium wave.
Wide. I went to Portland Road last game of the season and he was very, very... Also Wes Burns got something about him as well. He'll hold the width from the right.
Yeah, that's pretty good on medium wave there.
Well, the nicest thing about it,
that's the Radio 5 Live and the only other station that we can sensibly get here. Talk Sport, that sounds okay as well. I doubt whether we get anything else. Some days you can get Radio Caroline around here, but not today. The shortwave, I very much doubt whether we'll get anything at all at this time of the day, but we can give it a try. I can hear it picking some things up, but no speech or music or anything. I think it probably does work, but again, there's not much potential for shortwave listening around here at the moment. Right, let's see if we can get the thing apart. Right, so I got the back off. Let's take that thing out as well. I did notice that on the... So we've got the tuning control here. I do notice this is a little bit loose, so I thought initially, if I pull this tuning knob off, and I noticed then that this thing is a bit loose, so I can then so that comes off, and I thought, oh, that's good, because then we can take the other side off, but the other side doesn't seem to respond to that, and I don't want to pull on too far. And I think actually this isn't supposed to come off. I think it's just broken because there's sort of tab missing from there. Also, there's nothing for me to unscrew here, even if I take that off, apart from maybe take that circlip off the handle. I don't think that's relevant. So I think that wasn't supposed to come off. So now I've just broken it. Well, maybe not broken it, but I need to get it back on. There's absolutely nothing on the front. This is all one piece, so I can't see anything there to take it apart. There's no screws on the bottom or the top. The only screws I can see are the ones here in the battery compartments. There's two in there, in the battery compartment, and there's one here, so I'm hoping I'll take those 3 out, we can get the mechanism out. We can get that. Yeah, that transformer really runs hot. I'm burning my fingers on that now just because and it's been switched off for a while. Right, it does appear that that's loosened it. So something's still holding it in. What is that? I wonder. Oh, well, it'll be the these 2 controls at the front, then these 2 knobs. Yeah. Now, so let's get it all the way up. The whole thing should just pull out as a unit. There we go. Pick those screws up so we don't lose them. It's a very compact circuit board, very tightly packed. All looks in pretty reasonable order. As we've seen, it does work. So I don't see there's any reason to change anything. Relatively modern technology, 1970s stuff, so not full of germanium transistors, I guess. I can't quite see any of the transistors here. Looking at this, I wonder if it's the sighting of the transformer that's responsible for the sighting of the speaker not being central. And just to confirm my suspicions, there's the primary of the transformer, the main side. Those are the wires out of the secondary, and if we follow those around, they go to the bridge rectifier. And I'm pretty certain, yeah, so it goes via that switch. So that will be on the low voltage side of the transformer. How do we get this out? Is that fixed into that side? I think I might have to try and take the speaker out first to get an idea about that. Looks like it's been glued in, which is most antisocial. Alright, so finally prise the speaker out, and you can see that it's the rust has got all the way around that speaker, and you can see the rust has got all the way around that speaker there and onto here as well. So I think this probably needs a bit of a clean up, really. And that's the end where it seems to sort of connect on to that thing there. Does that mean that there's a physical connection there, or is it just a piece of metal that connects those 2 batteries, or does it need to ground to the speaker as well? It's not brilliant, is it? So also that hot mains transformer is also a bit loose, which we should probably fix that. The reason it's loose is probably because it's so hot, and it just loosens all the locking stuff they put around the screws. So I'm still not much closer, really. I'm going to have to desolder those 2 wires from the speaker to do much more work on it. So my original plan for restoring battery operation to this thing was to replace that entire corroded bit of metal, and I wasn't able to do that. I can't see any way to get it out of that plastic bracket there without smashing the bracket up, which I don't want to do. I was able to clean it up a bit in situ and get the rust off the edges here. There's only a very tiny amount left there, which I managed to bridge across with some copper wire. Probably not really needed, but it gives me another anchorage point when I want to finally get a proper spring and put it on. And bunching up the copper wire at the moment gives you enough contact here. Oddly enough, this one is ridiculously tight with the spring in place, so I don't know, you know, we could actually have done with a bit less springiness or a bit less on that post there for the positive end. This does tend to happen a bit. I mean, it's bulging a bit there as well. I think this tends to happen a bit with older radios, because I'm pretty certain that over the years that we moved into slightly bigger and less compressible cases for batteries. We've got metal cases now on the new alkaline batteries, and it's very much more difficult, I find, to get them into old radios. Nevertheless, it is together. It's not ideal, but it is working again.
Offers available on selected new and used cars and vary by model, subject to availability. Used offer on cars up to 12 months old. Finance provided by Volvo Car Financial Services UK Limited. Terms apply.
turns out this radio is pretty good. It has quite reasonable FM reception and AM as well, really. Pretty good sound. The sound improves. Well, this is a very tiny speaker, as you noticed when we took it apart. The effect of the box that it's in seems to give it a much better bass response than you'd expect, and so I don't know whether that's deliberate or accidental, but it certainly works. So another set from the little-known Eagle brand, or perhaps largely forgotten Eagle brand, that turned out to be quite good. See you on the next one.